Moving on to the mid game, these are the core aims for you as a position 5 in the mid game. You want to spend as much time on the map as possible. Um, should be pretty self-explanatory. Basically, anytime you're either in base healing, walking back to base healing, or walking out of base, your team is basically playing 4v5. Therefore, you want to be on the map, full health, full mana, and having an effect on some lane somewhere as often as possible. And the way you achieve this is simply you buy Tranquil Boots on almost every single position 5. Um, it's a bit counterintuitive sometimes because you can be playing a very mana hungry hero like Disruptor. All his spells use a lot of mana, but you still want to buy Tranquil Boots. You just have to accept the fact that you are going to buy a lot of clarities, and by a lot I mean a lot. Every time you buy wards and put wards on the courier, you also buy a couple of clarities as well. Keep ferrying them, keep using them, and that way you're always on the map with full health, full mana, 100% efficiency. Staying out of vision as much as possible. You should only be in the opponent's vision when you are killing an enemy or saving a teammate from a gank. Every time you show yourself in a lane, that's basically a green light to the opposing team to say, hey, if he's in this lane, we'll just go to the other lane and we can kill this core who we now know is alone with no one behind him. Buying all the support items but don't hog the courier. Um, so some people might say, well, the position 4 and the position 5 should both buy wards and sentries and smokes. They should share the load. The issue is position 4s often have this power spike where they get one key item like a blink dagger or an Atos on Skywrath where their effectiveness literally doubles. So you want to be able to help your position 4 get to that one key item as fast as possible, and you do that by buying every single support item so that they don't have to. Once they have their one core item, you can then ask them to buy some wards, but up until that point, buy everything. And you should be buying wards off cooldown. There should never be wards in stock really. You don't have to place them in bad positions, but at least have them in your inventory so you can place them when you want to. Um, so yeah, so you always want to have wards on you, always have a sentry on you, and you also always want to be carrying a smoke around just in case you want to make a smoke play. Also, when you're buying all these wards, sentries, and smokes, you're buying them. You're buying things very frequently, so you shouldn't call the courier every time you buy something, because if you do that, your cores are never going to use the courier, and it's always more important for them to get their major item out than for you to get another couple of sentries or a couple of smokes. So what you do is when you're in base, you buy your items, you put them on the courier, but you leave the courier in base, you don't touch it. Then when one of your cores uses the courier, once the courier is already out on the map and they've got their items, then you reuse the courier to you. Um, so yeah, I think courier efficiency is one of the poorest parts of pub play, and something an awful lot of people can improve. As a position 5 player, a large part of your job is to pressure the opposing team and not let their cores farm. In doing this, you often want to play away from your own safe lane carry and play towards the enemy safe lane carry. This is because if you start a fight on the map next to where your safe lane carry is, be it a Phantom Lancer or a Phantom Assassin, even if they don't die in the fight, they're not hitting creeps in the fight, and they also might get low enough on health or mana that they can't farm efficiently for the next 30 seconds or so. To avoid this, try and play on the opposite side of the map from them, where the enemy carry will likely be playing, and force the enemy carry into fighting early when they don't want to. This allows your one position hero to have the choice of either freely hitting lane creeps for as long as they want, or they can then TP in to join the fight late and potentially get some cleanup kills. Either way, you've created a scenario where your carry always wins and their carry always loses from the exchange. If you're not playing around your one position safe lane carry in the mid game, then who are you playing around? You're playing around whatever heroes have decent stuns and can guarantee you nice clean kills on the enemy heroes. This is usually your mid laner or your off laner. Your best bet is to play with your off laner and your 4 position. Your mid can join if he wants. You move around the map using smokes if necessary. You try and get a kill on enemies pushing lanes to deter them from pushing lanes. If the enemy team mass responds with lots of TPs, you just back off, don't feed, and you can then pressure another area of the map with the enemy TPs on cooldown. Note that if you have a carry with a big ultimate that can easily get kills, like Faceless Void's Chronosphere or Juggernaut's Omnislash or even Luna's Eclipse, what you can do is go to their lane, help them get a kill with their ultimate, and then start playing away from them once their ulti is on cooldown and they want to just AFK farm. Also, some people may disagree with this point. However, I think that playing behind your one position carry in the mid game is only good in ideal or professional Dota, where if they gank your carry and you're behind them, you can delay long enough for your team to TP in and turn it. However, in pub Dota, you cannot really rely on your team to TP quickly to turn it, and if they don't, it turns from them ganking your carry to them not only ganking your carry, but them also getting you as a bonus kill. Therefore, in pub Dota, I think playing away from your carry is a good idea in the mid game. In the late game, where the enemy has blink hexes and blink instant disables, and your carry just needs to get their BKB off to turn things around, this is when you want to start playing behind them. So mid game, don't play behind them, play away from them. Late game, you certainly can and should play behind your carry. So lots of people talk about how pushing lanes is the most important thing in Dota, and pushing lanes, shoving lanes, that's what wins you games. Now, when they say this, they don't really talk about the role aspect. They often just say shoving lanes is good, it wins you games. The issue is that as a position 5, a lot of the time you shouldn't be the one shoving the lane. Pushing lanes gives you a lot of gold. Lane creeps give more gold than neutral creeps. And also, if it takes you 10 seconds to to farm a lane on a support, when your mid laner can use 2 spells and kill that creep wave in 1 second, it's horribly inefficient for you to be the one pushing the lanes. Therefore, you want to give your cores the opportunity to push lanes if they want to, but it's still better to have someone pushing lanes than no one. So you should do it when your teammates won't, and you can also do it as you are moving across the map to go to other places. Like if you're looking to link up with your offlaner, if you're walking past mid, throw a stun out on mid, throw your Witch Doctor cast, your Disruptor, the Q, which does damage. Throw them out on the wave. Just push the wave a little bit, and then move on. And then spend as little time warding as possible. Time where you're spent warding is time where you're not pressuring the enemy team. In an ideal world, what you want to happen is you want to ward as you pressure. As you are moving to gank the enemy carry or enemy core, you can place some wards down. As you are moving to attack or defend a tower, you can place some wards. You want placing wards to be something that's like a seamless part of your game of pressuring the enemy. You don't want to just walk to an area just to place a ward and then walk all the way back. That's not time efficient, and efficiency is the most important thing when playing support. Um, uh, Often this applies mainly when both teams have 5 people alive. If there's been a big team fight and lots of people die, you can't really make plays on your own. So this is a good time to invest in just going somewhere and putting a ward down, because there's nothing better really you can be doing with your time. So post team fight, then it's totally fine to just ward and do nothing else. Runes. They are a bit of a meme, but if you ignore the bounty runes throughout the game, they give so much gold, it will be very hard for you to win. Ideally, you don't want to react to the runes spawning, you want to prepare for them. This is just something where the more games you'll play, there'll be like a natural timer in your head where you'll just suddenly realize it's 30 seconds until runes more and more often, and you'll just be able to better prepare as you get more used to the bounty runes in games. So at least 30 seconds before they spawn, you want to highlight to your team that they're coming up. You want to get people to push lanes. If you push lanes, that means the enemy team has to make the decision between farming the lane that's pushed in or going for the bounty runes. They can't really go for the runes if you've pushed the lanes. Also, because the enemy team don't want to ignore the runes as well, you can set up for easy kill opportunities. If you just get 2 or 3 of you to go and sit by a rune, you can just wait and an enemy is bound to come along sooner or later to try and pick up the rune. So it gives you free kills as well as free money. Clicking on enemies frequently, this is a huge part of playing position 5, is that you're not really hitting creeps, so you do have the time to click around the map. Whenever an enemy walks over a ward, you should click on their inventory, see what you have, see what they have. You should always alt click the new items that enemies have. This can literally win you games. Like if you spot that a Slark has a Shadow Blade or an Axe has a Blink Dagger before they get a kill with it, it can be game changing. So always be clicking on enemies, always be pinging them out to your team. Also do it for supports as well. Click on supports so that you can see how many wards, how many sentries they have. Often you see a support walk under your ward vision with a sentry in their inventory. They disappear from vision, then they walk back, sentry is no longer in their inventory. You can now accurately guess where they must have placed it and get an easy D ward. Clicking on the enemy supports frequently is the best way to win the vision war and win the game through that vision war. This clip demonstrating the importance of clicking on enemies. It's not the best example, but it's just a way for me to brag about the time I beat Liquid Miracle. So Miracle's playing SF here. Their team has no Invis heroes, no Shadow Blades, so if a fight starts out, we wouldn't have a reason to sentry. But if I slow it down, you can see I click on him, see he has an Invis rune in his bottle. I ping it out for my team, and as we're starting the fight top, you realise that a good player is going to try and invis in and see if he can get a free kill. So we sentry, expecting him to be invis, and we pick off the most farmed hero in the game. And that moment kind of, we were already ahead, but it kind of secured our victory in a way. So yeah, so if you click on heroes inventories, see they have they're building invis stuff, see they've got blink daggers. You can set up really nice baits and start game-winning fights really. I already discussed this slightly. Dying in team fights is not okay. A lot of people think that as a position 5 player, it's okay to die. But when you die in a team fight, you're not making any space at all. You're not gaining any information for your team. It's just a wasted death. You should just be positioned properly so that the only way you die is if one of the enemy cores suicides to kill you like an idiot, which does often happen. But when they don't suicide to kill you, you make sure that you survive the team fight, and then this gives you the opportunity to get some really nice deep wards down. Because you can kind of predict what the enemy team will do. If the enemy team have lost a team fight, they're going to be playing scared in their base or trying to split push. You can guess where the survivors will go, so you can just go and ward where they are not. Even if the other team wins the team fight, you can predict that they're either going to go Roshan, they're going to push this tower, they're going to do something in this part of the map. If you know that they're going to go to that part of the map, you can go really far onto the other side of the map, really deep, and get a great ward down that can win you the next fight. Finally, in the mid game, converting kills into objective/pressure. So you don't necessarily have to take a tower every time you get a kill, but you have to at least push the lanes. You should be farming lanes rather than jungle after you win team fight, because even if you back off from a tower when they respawn, you've still forced them to TP to defend that tower after spawning. You force them to run to that lane, which leaves you free to then fall back and make a play on the other side of the map where they won't be able to respond properly if they've TP'd to defend the tower. So you don't necessarily have to take objectives, you just have to pressure, and by pressure you have to push lanes. Finally, teamfight positioning and warding are very big parts of the mid game, but I feel like they're both so important that they deserve their own video each. So teamfight positioning and warding will be coming up after this mid-game video.